Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. I've got a horrific rack. Do I change? I've got chi and chin. Chin for 24 points. I think that is going to be better than changing, but a pretty horrendous rack leave. Okay, well, I have one vowel, and I may be able to play thumb or thump, which will sort the rack out in one go. But opponent may be attracted to a parallel play if they've got an I. Just wondering if B thump is good. Sure, should an E be available? Possibly. Now, what if opponent does have an I? Do I have any other options? Well, at the moment I don't really have very much because the plays I've mentioned don't go. I have a U for the Q, but that's hopeless without further vowels. Just wondering whether chin was the play on the opening rack. Really not sure. Very difficult to turn down 24 points, given that an S is worth only 8 to 10. But this rack is pretty ropey. Now, opponent does have an I. Kin takes an A and an S in front. I don't have an N or an S for chi. So I think the best I can do here is bump or hump for slightly more. Yep, 21 points. This is, again, better than changing. My T can go in front of hin. And I don't think there's any way of playing off an extra consonant in this spot. Ah, well, can you spell bump PH? Let's find out. Yes, you can. Fantastic. Okay, two vowels now, O and a U. And a scoring tile in the Z. My O can go underneath the K. I have DZO on my rack. That's not going to score much in row J, and I don't want to put a Z above a double word square. Now, opponent may be drawn to this triple word square. Not going to score very much because, well, without an M, because an M's the only scoring tile which can go underneath the H. So very few options for the Z at the moment. And given how non-bingo-y this rack is, I may be better off sorting the rack out. I could play good and bing, leaving TZ. Good takes an E and an S. Great, just 21 points for opponent. Now, can I score well with the A? Can I get the Z tripled? Well, I can with Zoa, keeping drug T. That's pretty ropey. I could play ads, which takes an E, keeping grout. Wow. What else do I have? Just looking to see if I have any parallel plays to Alan. Nothing goes in front of HA. Do I have a four-letter play with O and U? Let me see what good scores. 16 points, but the rack leave is good. I'm giving very little away. And if I draw, well, an O, I've got 30 points for Zoa. Only 16 points, though. Is there a better option? Just wondering if I can get my Z tripled in row J. Don't think I can. Is there really nothing other than Zoa and adds? TZAR plays off one more tile, but for a lowly score. Yeah, I am going with Gourd for 16. Finally, and A for Akin. But I'm not seeing any great plays there. I have Zati, actually, which isn't bad. Sorts out the duplicate T. Bing takes E and O. So can I get my Z tripled in column 14? Well, I can. I have Matza. Interesting. Will that stay available? I'm not going to be able to play off B, M and Z. Great. Well, I was going to say great only, but then I saw opponents scored 30 points, which is quite a lot, so not so great for me. But I still have the Matza spots, which I'm quite attracted to. The rack isn't particularly bingo-y, so it's good to turn over tiles. I'm creating a couple of new hotspots. Opponents created a hotspot in column 4, and I'd really like to have an open board. And 36 points is pretty decent. Just wondering if I have an alternative to Matza. Zamia is good, but that doesn't get the Z doubled. Yeah, I am going with this. Well, this is the first rack which is close to being a bingo. I would have editable through an A and delibate. A's on the board, not quite in the right spot. I'm not seeing a 7 with this rack. ZE is good, so I have edible in column 15. KY takes an E. So I could play bead or beted in row K. So I have two good options, and this is one of the reasons for creating new lanes. It's really wearisome getting a low score or having nowhere decent to play. Far better to have options and then to be looking for the best option. Still both blanks to come, and my lead just 20 points, so it's anybody's game. Now, do I really not have a bingo here? And not too many floaters to consider. Nothing goes in front of Alan. U and R not available. Column 5 only for SA and AA. Well, I have neither. Wow, 52 points for opponent. That's good. And a floating R. Does that give me something? Wow, I don't think it does. No, I'm not seeing an 8 through that. What about the E? Not seeing anything there. So, fortunately, I have edible for 44. Great. I have a couple of S's. I would have, well, Yeastius is a 9. So an I and a T. Do I have Satire S? No, the R is not in the right spot for that. Does that have an anagram? Not that I can see. So, not a lot of options immediately to hand here from what is a pretty bingo-y rack. B, not a useful bingo floater in last place. And, well, I'm just not seeing anything with B, L and E. So, now, Dixit takes an S. I was just wondering about satires, but the R's on the board, not on my rack. Does the T give me anything? Or the I? But I think Dixit takes an S. So what do I have which keeps one of my S's? And I'm wondering about anagrams of yeast. Yeast doesn't work. The S needs to be at the end for a 5-letter play. So Yates or Yeats? Yeats isn't good. Let me try Yates. And it's good, 42 points. So I'm in the lead by 30. I've taken out a dangerous spot, but I have a lot of vowels to deal with. Fortunately, I have a V, which should enable me to score and deal with the vowels. So Evo, Vo, and Eve are all options. Now, I do actually have Evo, E-V-O-E in row K. And that, I think, is the best option of any I've considered, and it totally sorts the rack out. A rack leave of A-E-S. Although it's vowel heavy, they're very good vowels, and they go extremely well with the S. So E-V-O-E will be my play, should opponent return. Well, they haven't gone away, their clock's still ticking, so they haven't disconnected, they've just spent a very long time on this play. And opponent plays if for 29. Nothing further to think about. Evo for 27. Oh well, I dodged the blanks. And this looks agonisingly close to a bingo. I've taken out the R as a floater. So only 7's available. Do I have a 7? And I don't think I have. What about a play onto the N? Not seeing anything. R is taken out because the V prevents a tile being placed underneath it. No 7 ending in A. Only 1 pointers, and this is the scenario I was talking about, having played off the V. I don't have a bingo. And I'm therefore going to struggle to score. However, I can burn off one of my S's fairly easily, and the Japer spot is available. My lead's still just 30 points. So, how many tiles do I burn? Okay, now opponent's played Coupe for 16. Coupe takes an S in front. Do I have a bingo with a floating C or a floating O? 14 minutes on my clock. Wow, I'm not seeing anything with either floater. Coupe does take that S in front, so the S is valuable, but I also need to score, and 2 S's aren't particularly good. Let me check the remaining vowels. 14 out of 38, so slightly vowel dry. As for 19, no. EAS for 21, I think that gives too much away. Gosh, E above a premium square, how dangerous is that? F and H is to come. And we only trail by 20. Let me think. Do I play through this C just to get some points from the C? Wow, what a tricky position to be in. So I could play since. 16 points, keeping C. It's just not great. If I kept A-E-I-N-S. So what about doing this? 19 points. It's a vowel dry bag. This rack goes well with a floating C. If opponent plays in column 2, then I'll have access to column 1. This is 19 points. Can I score anything similar? Leaving alone these lanes because I am close to a bingo. What if opponent bingo's up top? Well, I guess I'm creating a new lane. ES does have some front hooks. Okay, I don't feel great about this, but I'm going with it. So, what do I have? Do I have a 7? I don't think Danny's is good. Just 10 for opponent. These tiles are so bingo-y. But do I have one? And pretty much no floaters. There's ES for a 9-letter play. Not seeing one. Just so many 8-letter plays with this rack. Unduja if I had a U. Okay, well, I'm not seeing a play. I'm minded to play can. It's 20 points, which would take me to 250, a 50-point lead or 45-point lead. This is a very good 5-letter set. Let me just pause. Is there really no bingo here? If Danny's was good, it would play in row C because of scoop. And it would just be a massive miss if there's a bingo here. It would be so high probability. Let me consider initial letters in my mind. Not seeing one. Let me abuse the free challenge rule. Valid! Good grief! I was thinking that I was confusing Danny's with Donny's, but Danny's is good. So, is this the spot to play it? It doesn't play anywhere else at the top of the board. Scoop takes nothing else in front. It doesn't play in column 5. It doesn't play in row N. What about column 2? No, so this is it. Danny's for 69. Oh, and I missed the blanks. Unbelievable. And a whole bunch of 1-point tiles. This is the point where if I'd had a decent draw, I could have sealed the win. As it is, opponent could bingo and be breathing down my neck, and I'd be unable to score very much in response. I've stuck 2 vowels under triple letter squares. And triple O, double R. Well, I guess this is an easy rack to sort out. I've only got to play Roo. Nothing with the J. Gosh, close to Rioja if I'd drawn an I. So where can I play Roo? Ur and Roo are both good. Well, I could play in row B, but that's setting up row A, which I don't want to do. I have Ur. Well, opponent, just where opponents played vague, I had Ur. Yeah, I don't want to play Ur in row B because Rag has a lot of front hooks. And I mustn't be fixated on playing Roo. I just have that in mind since the rack leave is the best. Ah, well, what about playing it here though, because I get value from the J, and I'm not going to score much more than 12 points. Okay, well, this looks pretty balanced. My W can go on either triple letter square. Could there be a bingo here? Well, it hasn't come to mind if there is one. I wonder if that long delay by opponents is because he's been sitting on both blanks and struggling to find a bingo. It's possible. Okay, great, just 9 points. So, 5 vowels left out of 16. I could play OW in both spots, but I'm not going to be opening up row A. And the only scoring tile left is the H. So one of these spots is going to stay available. However, I'd really like to play off my W so that I can bingo. Where to do that? And it would be nice to score as well. What about playing OW here? I initially thought playing OW here, but then an S can go in front. But how dangerous is OW here? Opponent would have to place a tile above OI. I'm going with this. The score is pretty good. Opponent is not guaranteed to bingo. If opponent does bingo, he's not guaranteed to win. This is the best rack leave. If opponent doesn't take out row A, I could bingo there. And in any event, I've got column 2. What goes in front of ES? Well, R does and T does, so column 2 is a hot lane for me. Can I do even better than OW? No, I am going with this. Fantastic. What a beautiful, beautiful sight. This is just a dream rack. So bring it on, opponent. I'm 100 points ahead. If opponent bingos in row A, I'm very confident I can bingo in return. I've got satires in column 2. What do I have in row A? Any bingo is going to have to stick a tile in front of OI. So that would be a B. So I have bar rights in row A. It's not just a B, it's also an H, hastier, a K, car righties, a P, pastier. Yeah, that works. Now, opponent's gone overtime, loses 10 points, and will forfeit the game if they don't play before, if they don't complete the game before a minute has elapsed. I may well have a bingo, well, not necessarily in row N, it would have to end with the T. 13 points for opponent. So what was the best I saw at the top? I think bar rights will do for 79. And I draw 4 consonants. Opponent's got a pretty decent rack. They may bingo. And they do, but it's not going to be enough. And the final score, 330 for opponent, 419 for me, a winning margin of 89 points, so a huge, huge win. Let's see what I missed. Wow, what a game. Very close with those 2 blanks remaining unseen until right at the end. Now, it was me to go first. I played chin. I'm still not massively confident about this play. Rack leave of BDHM just doesn't feel like the sort of rack leave which a good player would have on their rack after making a miserable 20-point play. But anyway, it's what I did. Missed bingo, but wow, very difficult to see. Alkanin. Now, what's opponent saying? Okay, right. Now, it was my play, and I played bum 423, G8. Glad to see that, leaving me with only 2 consonants. Opponent plays Alan, and I had a tricky decision here. Thought about ads, didn't like the fact that it took an E at the end, and a pretty horrible rack leave. Zorbing, D8. Through bin, and getting the Z double, that's quite nice. Zoa considered that, didn't like the rack leave. Yeah. Gord, I think, has merit. Now, that's not the same as being the best. Opponent plays AY, opening the board up. Takes a lead. Zimb, K2. Oh, Zimb and Ab, that's nice, 42 points. What do? I play Matza for 36. Yeah. I think those moves are very close. A duplicate tile is generally worth about -5. Now, opponent's rack plays Japer. And I have Edible for 44. So I have a 20-point lead, and my lead stays at around 20 or 30 points for a very long time until just before the end of the game. Now, horrible rack for opponent. Plays Dixit. And I have Yates for 46 to give me a 30-point lead. And opponent has the blank from here on in. And this is where opponent on 14 minutes ran his clock down to, I think, 4 or 5 minutes. So 10 minutes on this play. Played if. Opponent saying did not notice it was on my clock. Oh well, that's a shame. But opponent played if for 29. I had thought with the blank maybe he was looking for a bingo. So, my rack, and I played Evo for 27, and interestingly, I only saw that after a very long time. This is when opponent was spending a long time looking for their play, or waiting for me to play, not realising it was their turn. But that lengthy delay did actually enable me to spot this, and I think it's best. Opponent plays Coop, could have played Calp in the same spot. Now, phew, no missed bingo here. And I play ES, keeping a very good 5-letter set, so I like my play, and it's only 8 off the top. Missed bingo for opponent. Galfers plays Frau. So that's a let-off for me, since I only lead by 20 points. But I have Danny's for 69, and it's the only playable bingo. Wow, miss bingo. Opponent has Ouvrage, D1, overlapping the first 3 letters in Danny's. Plays Vague. So this is where I play Rue. Oh, interesting. I could have played Coup, but that's keeping double R. And playing Rue keeps AORS. It's 8 fewer points, but I really do want to maximise my rack. So I'm happy with my play. Maximise the bingo potential of my rack. And wow, missed bingo. Opponent plays Con. Had Die Cotil in column 2. Also Dulotic, Cotidal. Yeah, all in column 2. Now, my rack, I couldn't see a bingo here. There isn't one. B2. Wow, Riso for 51. That would have taken me 120 points in the lead. Instead, I play O for 28. Yeah, I think my play is fine. I'm keeping such a strong 5-letter set, and I have a very good chance of bingoing in 2 spots of the board, so I like my play. Missed bingo for opponent, plays Din, could have played Introld, Trindle, and Tendril, all in column 2. Now, absolute dream rack, impossible not to bingo. And here we go. I played Varieties for 79, but a ton of other options. And finally, great spot of Lecture by opponent. Could also have played Florette for 4 more points, and scores well on countback with the G and the H on my rack. So, what a game. Very cagey start with lots of short plays, and I established a really small lead, and it stayed that way for most of the game, but quite an explosive finish with Varieties and Lecture. Unfortunately, my sender lead during the game was enough to ensure that Lecture and a big countback wasn't enough for opponent to catch me. But many thanks to opponent for a good battle. I hope you enjoyed watching that game. Like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Now, the channel has just recently broken through the 2,000 subscribers mark, which I'm delighted with. It only got through the 1,000 subscribers mark just a few months ago, so it's great to see the channel growing so strongly. And to mark the occasion of 2,000 subscribers, I'm releasing videos on Sunday night for 4 successive Sundays containing a mixture of Scrabble and crossword content, so do check those out if you're interested. And thank you very much for everyone who has recently subscribed and those who have subscribed from the beginning. I really appreciate your support.